Hi, everybody. I'm Deacon Dave.
I'm layperson Lisa.
Welcome to the Deacon Dave and Layperson Lisa show. Continuing on in the Be Healed book, episode 27. Not sure what's funny. Page 172.
Hand motion, and I tried to do the same.
Yeah.
It didn't work out.
This is barriers to healing, obstacles to prayer. All right.
Yes.
So, Lisa, in the process of praying, our minds and hearts, as we talked about, began to talk about in the last episode, are the primary battlefield.
Yes, because a lot of us have strongholds that have taken root in us.
Yeah, so for us to be effective, healing prayer must uproot the specific identity lies. Wow, look at the tie-in from last month, right? And other barriers that hold these strongholds in place.
Yes, and identity lies can keep us bound up in shame and even like feelings of unworthiness and...
This is a spiritual mentor point right here. You will hear all about shame and unworthiness quite often because of this whole identity thing.
Yes.
And it's not as easy as just saying, oh, well, your identity is found in Jesus Christ. You're a beloved son and daughter of the Father. Because I can tell you that you can say that all you want, but until they grow in deeper, more intimate relationship with God, to the point that when they hear that from Him, they know it to be true. Right? And it doesn't mean these things aren't going to come up. It just means that they're no longer going to be a stronghold or have any control. It'll be something passing on by.
Yes.
Right? Because we have memories, so things are going to come up. But we are not defined by our shame. But it is easy to say that. It is a whole nother thing to
live it.
To live that and to help people to allow Jesus to heal them of that. So you've got to be patient, okay?
Yeah, and on our retreat, we're going to use some inner healing tools that can help us with painful memories and this kind of thing.
It's going to be really good. There's a lot of great stuff that we're going to be bringing from our classes that we've been taking and just our overall general research from reading this book and other things. So, Elisa, let's talk about the 7 deadly wounds and their corresponding signs of healing. So how about you do the wound and I'll do the healing? Or would you like to do the healing?
Oh, whichever.
Well, I'm letting you choose.
Well, okay, I'll do the wound.
Okay, go ahead.
The first one is abandonment.
Connected and understood would be the corresponding sign of healing.
Yeah, so I was listening to something recently, and I thought this was great. We have these, so for me, I have like wounds of abandonment. And so that wound, the devil wants me to focus on and to be a stronghold for me because I'm actually called to be connected and part of community, which I thought was like, oh, that was like so.
And you are.
Yes, exactly.
Right, but before, like you said, you were living out a life of isolation.
Yes, exactly.
It's almost like self-abandonment.
Yes. Well, self-abandonment's a good thing, though.
Well, no. Well, I mean, like
self-isolation.
So by isolating yourself, you can create a feeling of being abandoned because you're never around people.
I see what you're saying. You're causing the wound to just get deeper.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, rejection.
Okay, so the corresponding sign of healing would be accepted and valued.
Fear.
Safe and secure.
Shame.
You are pure and worthy.
Powerless.
You are empowered by virtue of your baptism and liberated by the same.
Yes. Hopelessness.
Hopeful and encouraged.
Confusion.
Clarity and enlightenment. So now let's go back because I think that we can speak to these other 6 that are on this list. Do you want to talk about rejection?
Sure. So sometimes I think, so this wound hasn't been fully healed in me. So sometimes I take things, I just take them the wrong way. Like it's just I know you're kind of shocked because I do such a good job of covering it up.
But that was just last week.
I think like yesterday. Just kidding. No, so
you have no idea, people.
No, so sometimes
she's doing good.
So today. Sometimes because this wound has not been fully healed, like I will take very innocent comments that are meant to be funny, and I'll just take them as rejection.
Right. And on top of that, sometimes because of that, people won't take things where they're actually being accepted and valued.
Exactly.
They'll minimize them.
Or I'll feel like I'm not accepted and I'm not valued.
Right. Even when you are being.
Yes.
So you'll
Yes.
you'll
It's a
hyperbolize the
whole
rejection.
It's a whole skew. Yes.
Yeah, and minimize
totally.
where you're
Yes.
being accepted and
Yeah,
valued.
like I'm blind. I'm blind to the signs of healing. Like
Yeah.
I just want to focus on the wound.
Yes, like you could do like 100 things that
Yeah.
have been accepted and valued,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
like, okay. And then one little rejection that wasn't actually a rejection is like,
Yeah.
I mean, but this is like actually real, right? Because this happens
yeah.
to people. So
Yeah.
we're not trying to make light of this because
No,
it really
no.
does happen.
Oh, so I have a good example. So there's I've talked to people where they will feel rejected by someone because they chose like a different faith denomination.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with the person, but the person takes that personally, just because they have this raw wound of rejection.
Yeah, and there's a lot of subtleties to any one of these wounds that you will see being manifested in that person when you sit down to talk to them for spiritual mentorship, and being able to identify that, right, and then find probably the many different ways in their life that are now threaded together that are, say, rejection, right, that's being manifested. So fear. What about fear?
Fear. So you're pretty much like you're scared to do anything just because you don't. Because I used to have this wound, but I don't think. I mean, sure, I have some things that I think it's more.
You're 3 for 3 so far.
I know the other ones.
got 'em
Yeah,
all.
well, I got another one.
You got
But no, so I think fear fear would paralyze me, and
Yeah.
so I wouldn't feel secure. I'd feel very insecure, and I would never really feel not safe. I don't think it's the right word. I think it's more like content.
Okay.
And so I would just stay isolated.
Yes, I mean, because if you're, that's not good, right?
Right.
That feeds back into the other ones, and that's the thing. These are all like interwoven.
Yes.
And
yes.
so, you in your attempt to fix one, you create another one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So shame. I mean, I think we've all dealt with shame.
Yes.
And the idea that, I mean, there's maybe something we did that we're embarrassed by or wish we had done differently.
Sure.
Well, welcome to the human race. Okay?
Right.
But in God's eyes, we are still, and I did this prayer for someone just recently, who was talking about shame. And I just said, listen, you were created perfectly in God's eyes. He loves you right where you are. And so it's important to help people to begin to regain the value and the worthiness that they have in God's eyes, right?
Yeah. And I think sometimes even when we bring these things to confession, we still are holding on to that shame.
Yeah, so powerlessness can take on a couple of different shapes. One could be a wound. And there are also times where you might run into people who are in relationships where they feel powerless for a variety of reasons that aren't good, that we'll probably talk about in class at some point.
So do you think that manifests as control?
In this case, no.
Okay.
No, I think it is someone else that's controlling them.
But do you think so, like, because they've experienced this wound of powerlessness, they always have to remain in control?
I think that you may be right, but what I'm saying is you might actually talk to people, because I have, that were actually currently in a situation
Currently. Okay,
of
got
powerlessness.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. And that's very, very serious stuff when you start talking to someone like that. But you're right. Someone who has been through that might seek to control, or they may live their life like any of these wounds around not being exposed to those wounds anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Hopelessness is never good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I've been healed of this one pretty much.
And then confusion.
Yeah. Well, I was going to talk about hopelessness.
Oh, go right ahead. Sorry.
This is one of mine. So I used to not really care about anything, and I didn't really if I died, oh well, and so, but now I don't have that, because I think it was probably despair and that kind of pit.
Yeah, and if someone were to actually come up to you and say something like that, then they may need help that is beyond
spiritual direction.
Right.
Yeah. But it was at a time where I didn't really have a good relationship with God too, and so that could also be a sign of that.
Right. Right. So I think this is a good, since you brought this up, some things there's like a line, right? There's a line that
Yeah.
we don't cross.
Yeah.
Where you sense something of a serious nature, like what you just said, that you might advise them to go to a different type of counsel to help.
Yeah. And like for me, I wasn't going to do anything to myself, but you don't know.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just talking, not you necessarily,
Yeah.
but just this kind of stuff. Look, this is the kind of stuff that
there's
comes up.
fine lines, right? It's like, okay, do
Yeah.
I need to tell somebody about this situation to get this person help? Or, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not fun and games. It's
No.
real. This stuff is all real
No,
life. And when
no.
people come to you, I mean, that's why we will get on you in class about, don't try to solve all the problems.
Yeah.
You're there as a guide along with the Holy Spirit to walk along with this person, right? To listen to God and to listen to them. And, so I think it's important that we begin to practice that in the classes, the seriousness by which all of this is. Because I'm going to tell you right now, 95% of the stuff that you run into, it doesn't have a solution.
Right.
At least not the kind of solution that one would want to have.
Right.
Right? It's
Right.
more leaning and trusting in God to find joy and peace in the midst of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that leads to the last one, which is confusion.
Mm-hmm.
But we have really gone over we have busted all of our time credits on this one.
Yes.
I'm Deacon Dave.
I'm Chris and Lisa.
See you next time.
Bye.
It was good though.
Yeah.
Just let everybody know that.
We thought it was good.